In this video, we're going to answer the question, what should my credit report look like after my bankruptcy is discharged? So stay tuned, Bankruptcy Bailout buddies. Welcome, debtors and borrowers, to Bankruptcy Bailout, because debt ruins lives, not bankruptcy. My name is Matt Burkus, Colorado bankruptcy and debt relief attorney, and today we're going to answer the question, well, what happens on your credit report after you file bankruptcy? Or put another way, what should your credit report look like after bankruptcy? Now, this is a common question I get both from prospective clients who are concerned about their credit and the impact that bankruptcy will have on their credit after the bankruptcy is over, and then of course from existing clients and those that just emerged from bankruptcy is, well, what's it actually supposed to look like? How are the various accounts supposed to be reported on your credit report? I have another video about 3 ways to rebuild your credit after bankruptcy. So we're not talking about rebuilding credit in this video. And I also have a separate video on issues related to credit reporting and the impact that bankruptcy has on your credit score. But in this video, we're just going to talk about, well, how should it actually look once your bankruptcy is over? So your credit report is a reporting document. It's a voluntary document whereby your creditors report your account status to these agencies, and then those reports are sold to other lenders to determine if they want to lend you money, right? So that's what a credit report is. It's actually not, or your credit report is not a legal document in the sense that it's not an official record of your debt. However, because of the importance of credit reports in the economy and in the lending system, there are regulations that dictate how information gets reported and the accuracy of that information as it's reported. So once you file bankruptcy, that basically puts a stop or a break on credit reporting for all the accounts that are included in your bankruptcy. So let's just say you have a handful of credit cards that you're filing bankruptcy on, as well as a car payment or so, because they get special treatment in credit reporting. So once you file bankruptcy, the most likely thing that's going to happen is that each of the accounts is going to get closed. Okay, because you file bankruptcy, you're discharging the debt, they're not going to keep the account open, so the account's going to get closed. So after bankruptcy, what happens is, or I should say, well, as a general primer, bankruptcy doesn't erase or delete accounts from your credit report. So any account you had on your credit report prior to filing bankruptcy is still going to be there after the bankruptcy. So bankruptcy doesn't erase your credit report. However, the accounts should be updated to reflect the fact that you filed bankruptcy. So there's really 3 sections or 3 areas on your credit report. So there's the trade lines, which is your list of accounts. Then there's the public records section. And then there's an inquiries section. And well, there's the 4th section is all about your personal information as well. So when we're talking about trade lines, we're talking about the specific accounts. And within each trade line, there's information that gets reported, like your balance, the status of the account, payment history, all that stuff, right? So once the account is part of the bankruptcy, the status should be updated to reflect something to the effect of closed, included in bankruptcy, or closed, discharged in bankruptcy. All right, so it will reference the bankruptcy in the status section or in the status line for each account that was part of the bankruptcy. All right. Then on the balance, and this is important, the balance should be 0. All right, so status should reflect some sort of closed, included in bankruptcy, and the status should be 0, or the balance should be 0. There will also be a status update date. That should be around the time of the bankruptcy. That's not as important necessarily, because it kind of depends on when they get around, or the creditor gets around to reporting the bankruptcy. Because again, if you're filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy, that thing's pending for about 3.5 months. So the status updated date should be sometime in that time frame from the month that you file to at least a month after you're discharged. Now, there's a special caveat when it comes to certain accounts. If the account was already closed prior to you filing bankruptcy, it might not get updated. And it doesn't have to be, because it's already closed. So its terminating event for that account wasn't the bankruptcy. It was already closed for other reasons. So if you say had a Chase credit card that you haven't been paying for 2 years, it was probably closed and charged off 6 months after you stopped paying them. So it'll have an entry reflecting already on there as closed, charged off, sold to a different lender, something along those lines. If that was already there, it's not, or I should say, it doesn't have to get updated to included in bankruptcy because it already has a terminating event. So the only accounts that get updated to the included in bankruptcy status are ones that were open or active during the time you filed bankruptcy. If the account was already closed, more often than not, it's not going to get updated. Same thing with collections accounts and so forth. So if the Chase account that I referenced shows as charged off, it may show up again as a collection for portfolio recovery services. If the portfolio recovery services account is active when you file bankruptcy, then that should show status as closed, included in bankruptcy, balance 0. Okay. Car loans are a special case, and so are mortgages for that matter when it comes to bankruptcy. And this is somewhat bad news for a lot of people because a lot of people intend to continue to pay their car payment and pay their house payment after their bankruptcy. But the problem is that the creditor will stop reporting that payment history, and it will also show as included in bankruptcy, although it won't usually show as closed. It'll just say status included in bankruptcy, most likely still reflect the balance, but they will stop tracking payment history. And there's really no way around that. The technical legal reason is that you've technically discharged your personal obligation to pay the debt, right? Now, the security interest in the collateral, right, the fact that you secured your card for that loan or you secured your house, the mortgage, that's still live because that passes through bankruptcy unaffected. But your credit report is not a report about what collateral and security interests are against you. It's about your personal debt. And so you have, in addition to the security that you pledged to get the loan, you have a personal liability to pay the debt. That's actually been discharged in bankruptcy, even though you're going to continue to pay it. And that's why after bankruptcy, they will typically stop counting your payment history. And that is technically accurate, and it's not a violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. All right. So there's going to be some other caveats. I'm sure I'll get some questions, and I'll try to answer those in the comments about specific situations if you have that. But generally speaking, on your credit report, bankruptcy is not going to delete all your old accounts, but they'll just stop being bad things on your account because they get closed out. And then as they age, they have less and less impact on your credit score. So the bankruptcy is going to close them out. There'll be a notation in the status saying it was included in bankruptcy, and importantly, the balance should be 0. If it doesn't report that way, if it's still showing a balance due on a credit card, or if it's not showing closed in some manner, then that's something you should dispute with the credit reporting agency. And most likely that'll either a correction will either be made or they will delete the account from your credit history. My name is Matt Burkus, Colorado Bankruptcy and Debt Relief Attorney. I practice in Colorado. I hope this information has been helpful to you in understanding what happens to your credit report after bankruptcy. Best of luck to you.